The emergency room doors burst open with a violent crash. Dr. Catherine Walsh, director of Sacred Heart Memorial Hospital, stands in the pristine white corridor, her designer heels clicking against polished marble as she blocks the entrance. Before her, a man in a dirt-stained white robe extends his hand toward a trembling elderly woman collapsed near the waiting area, blood seeping through her worn jacket. "Step away from her," Catherine commands, her voice sharp as surgical steel. "Security." The man doesn't move. His eyes, unsettling in their calm, remain fixed on the dying woman. "I said step back. This is a private Christian hospital. We have standards, protocols. You can't just wait." A young nurse, barely 25, rushes between them, her scrubs still bearing yesterday's coffee stain. Her name tag reads, Emma. "Dr. Walsh, she's coding. We need..." Catherine's hand shoots up, silencing her. "Not until this vagrant is removed from the premises." The man in the white robe finally speaks, his voice quiet but carrying an impossible weight. "She has minutes." Something in his tone makes the bustling ER fall silent. "Before we continue, tell us in the comments what city you're watching from. And here's my question for you. Have you ever turned someone away because they didn't look like they belonged? Share your truth below. Catherine Walsh thought she was protecting her hospital's reputation when she refused treatment to a homeless man and his dying companion, without knowing that this decision would unravel everything she'd built and expose the rot beneath her pristine, faith-branded empire. What happens next will shatter every assumption you have about mercy and judgment, and will reveal a divine truth that no medical degree or religious title can save you from. A story that will make you question where grace really lives and will leave you breathless. 3 months earlier, Catherine had stood before the hospital, bored in this same corridor, presenting her 5-year plan. Sacred Heart Memorial had become the most profitable Christian hospital in the tri-state area under her leadership. Gleaming crosses adorned every wall. Scripture verses were etched in bronze plaques throughout the building. A massive stone monument in the entrance atrium declared, "Healing in His name since 1952. "We've increased revenue by 47%, Catherine announced, her silk blouse catching the light from the imported Italian chandeliers. "Our patient satisfaction scores are at an all-time high. We've successfully transitioned to a premium care model." Board Chairman Pastor Richard Thornton nodded approvingly, his Rolex catching the light. "Excellent work, Catherine. You've transformed this place from a charity ward into a beacon of Christian excellence." What neither of them said aloud was simpler. They'd stopped accepting Medicare patients, raised prices, required payment guarantees before treatment. The poor, those Jesus reportedly healed for free, now received polite directions to County General 15 miles away. Catherine told herself she was being a good steward, faithful with resources, building something sustainable. The truth was simpler and more terrible. She'd learned to see people as balance sheets. Now, standing before the man in the white robe, Catherine feels something she hasn't experienced in years. Genuine fear, not of him, of what he represents. "Emma," Catherine says, her voice steady but cold, "call security, have this man removed, then we'll assess the patient." "She'll be dead by then," the man says simply. "That's not my problem. My problem is maintaining order and safety. You're trespassing. You're not family. You're not even..." Catherine's eyes scan his torn robe, his calloused bare feet, the dirt under his fingernails. "Appropriate for this environment." Emma's voice cracks. "Dr. Walsh, she's 93 years old. I know what she is." Catherine's tone could freeze blood. "I also know this hospital has a reputation to maintain. We serve a specific community, a specific clientele. That woman," she gestures without looking, "hasn't had insurance in probably 20 years. And this man..." She finally meets the stranger's eyes and immediately wishes she hadn't. "This man doesn't belong here." Neither did he. The stranger says it so quietly that Catherine almost misses it. "Excuse me? The one this hospital claims to serve. He didn't belong in palaces either. They said the same thing. Not for your kind." Catherine's jaw tightens. "Don't you dare lecture me about faith. I've built this hospital into a monument to Christian values. We serve thousands. We provide excellent care. You serve those who can pay," the man interrupts, still kneeling beside the dying woman, his hand resting gently on her shoulder. "Tell me, Director Walsh, when did Jesus check insurance before?" "Healing?" The corridor has gone completely silent. Two other nurses have stopped mid-step. A janitor stands frozen with his mop. Even the fluorescent lights seem to hum more quietly. Catherine feels heat rising in her chest. This is not a biblical debate. This is a medical facility with rules, regulations, and legal requirements. Now, for the last time, the elderly woman gasps, her body convulsing. The man in white doesn't hesitate. His hands move with shocking precision, tilting her head, checking her airway, applying pressure to the wound in her side. His movements are too practiced, too professional. "You're a doctor," Emma breathes. "Among other things," he replies. Catherine's world tilts slightly. "Impossible. You're not what you expected." His eyes lift to hers. Neither are most of his miracles. Before Catherine can respond, 3 security guards round the corner, summoned by her earlier call. Marcus, the head of security, is a former Marine with shoulders. Like a linebacker, he takes one look at the scene and hesitates. "Dr. Walsh, remove him." Catherine points at the man in white. "Immediately." Marcus approaches slowly. Something in the stranger's posture, calm, unbothered, radiating a quiet authority, makes him cautious. "Sir, I'm going to need you to come with me." "This woman needs a hospital, not a cemetery," the stranger says without looking up. "You have maybe 90 seconds to decide which one she gets." "That's not your decision." Catherine's voice rises, cracking slightly. Several patients in the waiting area turn to stare. "This is my hospital. I decide who receives care. You decide who's worthy." The stranger stands now, and despite his rough appearance, despite the torn robe and dirty feet, he somehow seems taller than everyone in the corridor. "Tell me, Catherine Marie Walsh, when you stand before the throne, when you're desperate and dying and begging for mercy you don't deserve, what will you do if he says, 'This heaven isn't for your kind'?" The words hit like a physical blow. Catherine's breath catches. No one has used her middle name in 15 years, not since her mother's funeral. Not since she left behind the girl who wanted to be a missionary and became the woman who builds empires. "How did you—" The elderly woman stops breathing. Emma screams. "She's crashing! Dr. Walsh, please!" Time fractures. Catherine sees herself as if from outside her body. A woman in a $1,200 suit, standing in a palace of marble and scripture, watching someone die because of paperwork, because of policy. Because somewhere along the way, she forgot that regulations were meant to serve people, not replace them. "Emma." Catherine's voice sounds distant to her own ears. "Get a gurney. Trauma Bay 3. Move." Emma sprints. Marcus looks uncertain. "Dr. Walsh, the board policy—" "The board can bill me personally." Catherine kneels beside the woman, her expensive skirt touching the blood-stained floor. Her hands that haven't touched a patient directly in 3 years. "Remember, find the pulse point, check responsiveness. Get Dr. Morrison, tell him code blue, incoming trauma, no insurance verification required. Dr. Walsh." "Now, Marcus!" The security team scatters. Catherine's hands work automatically, starting compressions. 30 years of training override 3 years of administration. Emma returns with the gurney and 2 other nurses. They move as a unit, lifting, stabilizing, rolling toward the trauma bay. The man in white watches silently. As they rush past him, Catherine catches his eye for one terrible, clarifying moment. He's not angry. He's sad. Sad in a way that suggests he's seen this exact scene play out 1,000 times. Watched 1,000 Catherine Walshes choose policy over people, reputation over redemption, comfort over compassion. Watched them realize too late what they'd become. The trauma bay erupts in controlled chaos. Dr. James Morrison, a talented surgeon who still believes in medicine as mission, takes charge immediately. His hands move with practiced grace, calling for instruments, medication, assistance. Massive internal bleeding, he announces. Looks like she's been injured for hours, maybe longer. Why the hell wasn't she brought in sooner? No one answers. Catherine stands at the edge of the room, suddenly useless. She's the director, the administrator, the one who makes decisions from offices and boardrooms, not operating theaters. She'd forgotten this smell, antiseptic and blood and desperate hope. The sound of machines fighting for a life that statistics say isn't worth saving. We're losing her, Morrison says quietly. Catherine, she's 93 with multiple organ failure. Even if we stabilize her, she's looking at months in ICU. No insurance, no family that we know of. This is going to cost, I don't care what it costs, Catherine hears herself say. Save her. Morrison's eyes widen slightly. I said save her, James. Something passes between them, a memory of why they both entered medicine, before the politics, before the profit margins, when it was simply about the sacred calling to heal. Morrison nods once and turns back to his work. Catherine walks out of the trauma bay on shaking legs. The corridor is empty now, except for the man in white, sitting on the floor exactly where the woman had collapsed. He's cleaning the blood from the marble tiles with his bare hands and what appears to be a corner of his own robe. Catherine stops several feet away, her brain struggling to process the image. You don't have to do that, she says. We have cleaning staff. I know. He continues his work, methodical and unhurried. But she was my friend. Seemed right to honor her blood. Your friend? Martha. Her name is Martha. She raised 4 children after her husband died young. Worked 3 jobs. Never. Missed a Sunday in church for 60 years. Lost everything when she got sick, and her insurance company found a technicality to deny her claims. He looks up. You know how that story goes. You've probably approved a dozen similar denials yourself. Catherine feels like she's been slapped. We don't deny, we have to follow rules. Yes, you said that. He stands, his robe now stained with Martha's blood. Tell me something, Catherine. When did the rules become more sacred than the people they were meant to protect? That's not fair. You don't understand the complexities of running a hospital, the legal liabilities, the financial pressures. If we just treated everyone for free, we'd go bankrupt and then we couldn't help anyone. And if you only treat those who can afford it, who exactly are you helping? His voice remains gentle, which somehow makes it worse. The comfortable, the secure, the ones who need you least. Catherine's hands ball into fists. I've dedicated my life to this hospital. I've built something remarkable here. We provide world-class care to a carefully selected portion of God's children. He tilts his head slightly. Tell me, when Jesus fed the 5,000, did he check their credit first? When he healed the lepers, did he require proof of insurance? When he welcomed the outcasts and the sinners, did he first ensure they met his reputation standards? That was different. That was what you claim to follow. The man takes a step closer, not threatening, but somehow impossible to escape. You wear your faith like a designer label, Catherine. It looks beautiful on the outside, impressive in board meetings, wonderful in donor brochures. But what happens when someone tests whether it's real? When someone actually needs the mercy you claim to represent? Catherine's throat tightens. You don't know me. You don't know what I've sacrificed, what I've built, the good I've done. I know that 37 people died last year because your hospital turned them away. His voice remains quiet. Factual. Devastating. I know their names, their stories, the children they left behind. I know because I was there when they took their last breaths, in emergency rooms that were too far away, in homeless shelters, in alleyways. And I heard each one wonder why the Christian hospital, the one with the giant crosses and the scripture verses, why that hospital said they weren't worth saving. That's not, Catherine's voice breaks. That's not what happened. That's not what I intended. I was just I thought I was being responsible, faithful with resources, building something sustainable. You were building a monument to yourself. He says it without malice, which makes it impossible to deny. A beautiful, profitable monument that bore his name but forgot his heart. Catherine feels tears burning her eyes. When did she last cry? 3 years ago? 5? She'd trained herself not to. Emotions were weakness. Sentiment was inefficiency. She'd become hard because she thought that's what success required. I don't know how to fix this, she whispers. I don't know how to be what you're describing and still keep the hospital running. The board would replace me in a day. Then let them. The man's hand reaches out, and before Catherine can pull away, he touches her shoulder. His palm is calloused and warm. Catherine, little Catherine, who used to volunteer at soup kitchens, who wanted to be a medical missionary, who once believed healing was a calling, not a career. She's still in there, buried under the policies and the profit margins and the fear of failure. But she's still there. Catherine doesn't know how he knows about her past, about the girl she used to be. But the tears come now, hot and unstoppable, years of them. Tears for every patient she approved denying, every policy she signed that valued. Money over mercy. Every time she looked away because acknowledging the suffering would require her to do something uncomfortable. I've become exactly what I despised, she says. When I started, I swore I'd never let this place become a business, never let profit dictate care. And now, she laughs bitterly, now I'm the one enforcing those exact policies. Now you have a choice. The man releases her shoulder. The same choice you've always had, the same choice everyone has. Who will you serve? The comfortable lie or the uncomfortable truth? Before Catherine can respond, Emma bursts through the trauma bay doors. Dr. Walsh, she's stabilizing. Dr. Morrison thinks she might actually make it. Relief floods Catherine's chest, but it's complicated by a harder realization. One Martha won't erase 37 deaths. One moment of choosing differently doesn't undo 3 years of choosing wrong. She turns to ask the stranger what comes next. He's gone. The corridor is empty except for Emma and the faint smell of something Catherine can't quite place. Not antiseptic, not blood. Something else. Something like the olive trees that grew outside her childhood church. Emma. Catherine's voice sounds strange to her own ears. That man, the one in the white robe, where did he... What man? Emma looks genuinely confused. Dr. Walsh, are you okay? You look pale. Catherine stares at the spot where he stood. The marble floor is clean. No blood, no dirt from his feet. No evidence he was ever there except the earthquake in her soul. I need you to do something for me, Catherine says slowly. Pull the records. Every patient we turned away in the last 3 years. Every person we referred elsewhere because of inability to pay. I want names, addresses, outcomes. Emma's eyebrows rise. Dr. Walsh, that could be thousands of people, and the board isn't going to like... The board is going to like what I tell them to like. Catherine surprises herself with the steel in her voice. This is my hospital. It was built by people who actually believed in healing, and I'm going to remember how to run it that way. Okay. Emma nods slowly. Okay, I'll start pulling records. But Dr. Walsh, can I ask what changed? Catherine looks at the empty corridor, at the crosses on the walls that she suddenly sees differently, not as decorations or branding, but as symbols of someone who died because the religious establishment said, He wasn't their kind. I got reminded who I'm supposed to be working for, she says quietly, and it's not the board. What Catherine doesn't know yet is that her decision in the next 60 seconds will determine whether Martha lives or dies. Because 2 floors up, in the executive wing, Pastor Richard Thornton has just been informed of an uninsured patient receiving expensive emergency care on Catherine Walsh's authority. And he's already dialing the emergency board meeting that will decide her fate. The war for Sacred Heart Memorial's soul is just beginning, and Catherine has no idea she's just declared sides. Catherine retreats to her office, a corner suite on the 5th floor with floor-to-ceiling windows overlooking the hospital gardens. She'd spent $40,000 decorating it, mahogany desk, leather chairs, a tasteful cross made of brushed steel on the wall. Everything designed to project authority, success, spiritual groundedness. Now it feels like a cage. She sinks into her chair and opens her laptop, pulling up the financial reports she reviews obsessively. Sacred Heart Memorial's profit margins, revenue per patient, operating efficiency ratings. Numbers that once filled her with pride now seem obscene. A knock interrupts her thoughts. "Come in." Pastor Richard Thornton enters without waiting for permission, closing the door firmly behind him. He's 65, silver-haired, dressed in a suit that probably cost more than most of his congregation earns in a month. He built one of the largest mega-churches in the state and sits on Sacred Heart's board as chairman. He's also the reason Catherine got this job, and the reason she's afraid to lose it, Catherine. His voice is warm but controlled. "We need to talk about this afternoon's incident." Catherine's spine straightens. "Martha's treatment, you mean? The unauthorized care you approved for an uninsured vagrant." Thornton sits without being invited, crossing his legs. "Und I've received 3 calls from board members. They're concerned. Concerned that I saved a woman's life. Concerned that you violated our established protocols. Concerned about precedent. If word gets out that we're treating people without payment verification, we'll have every homeless person in the city showing up at our doors." God forbid. Catherine doesn't recognize the edge in her own voice. Thornton's eyes narrow. "I sense sarcasm. That's unlike you, Catherine. You're usually more pragmatic. Maybe I'm tired of pragmatic meaning heartless." A long silence fills the room. "I see." Thornton leans forward. "May I ask what prompted this sudden crisis of conscience? You've been implementing our efficiency protocols for 3 years without complaint. What changed?" Catherine thinks of the man in white. His impossible knowledge of her past, his question about standing before the throne. But how to explain that to Thornton without sounding insane? I remembered why. "I became a doctor," she says instead. "Not an administrator, a doctor. Someone who took an oath to heal, not to profit." Thornton's smile doesn't reach his eyes. "Catherine, sweet, brilliant Catherine, let me tell you a story. 20 years ago, this hospital was failing, drowning in debt, treating everyone who walked through the doors regardless of ability to pay. Noble, compassionate, bankrupt. They were 6 months from closing when I joined the board. Do you know what saved Sacred? Art?" Catherine says nothing. "Business sense, hard decisions, the recognition that you can't help anyone if you don't exist. We made the difficult choice to focus our resources where they do the most good. We built something sustainable, something that could serve thousands instead of dozens. That's not heartless, Catherine, that's wisdom. We turned away 37 people who died." The words escape before Catherine can stop them. 37 people who came to us desperate, and we sent them away because they couldn't pay. That's not wisdom, Richard. That's murder in expensive suits. Thornton's face hardens. "Those are serious accusations. Do you have documentation? Proof that those deaths were directly caused by our policies?" "I'm pulling the records now." "Then you're wasting your time." Thornton stands, buttoning his jacket. And you're jeopardizing your position. The board meets Monday. They're going to review your performance. I strongly suggest you remember which side your bread is buttered on before then. Is that a threat? It's a reality check. Thornton moves toward the door, then pauses. You know what I've always admired about you, Catherine? Your clarity, your focus, your understanding that sentiment is the enemy of effectiveness. Don't lose that now. Don't throw away everything you've built because some vagrant made you feel guilty. He leaves before Catherine can respond. She sits in the silence of her expensive office, staring at the steel cross on her wall. A thought surfaces, unwelcome and insistent. When did she start seeing human beings as inconvenient obstacles to efficiency? Her phone buzzes, a text from Emma. Martha is stable. Dr. Morrison says it's a miracle she's alive. Also, she's asking for the man in white, says she needs to thank him. Do you know where he went? Catherine stares at the message. Martha was asking for him, which meant Martha saw him too. He wasn't a hallucination, wasn't stress or guilt manifesting. He was real, which raised a more disturbing question. What was he? Catherine leaves her office and takes the elevator to the ICU. Martha lies in a bed by the window, tubes and wires connecting her fragile body to machines that beat with steady rhythm. She's conscious, her eyes alert despite the trauma her body endured. You're the doctor, Martha says, her voice weak but clear. The one who let them save me. Catherine pulls up a chair. How are you? Feeling? Like I got hit by a truck. Because I did. Martha's smile is slight. 3 days ago. Driver didn't stop. Left me in a ditch. I've been trying to get help ever since. Every hospital I tried turned me away. No insurance, no money, no family to make a fuss if I died in their waiting room. Shame burns in Catherine's chest. I'm sorry. You didn't hit me with a truck. No, but I almost finished what the truck started. Martha studies her with surprising intensity. The man who brought me, is he here? I don't know where he went. Martha, who was he? How do you know him? I don't, not really. Martha's eyes drift to the window. He found me yesterday. I was in an alley behind a church trying to stay warm, dying probably. And he sat with me, gave me water, covered me with his robe when I was shivering, told me stories about a kingdom where the last are first and the broken are treasured. Catherine's throat tightens. What kind of stories? Strange ones. Beautiful ones about a master who throws a feast for beggars, about a father who runs to embrace the son who betrayed him, about a king who washes feet. He made me feel... Martha's voice cracks. He made me feel like I mattered, like my life had value, like someone saw me. What was his name? He never said, just smiled when I asked. Martha's hand trembled slightly. But I've been going to church for 60 years, read my Bible cover to cover more times than I can count, and I know what angels look like when they show up in dirty places. The words hit Catherine like cold water. You think he was... I think God doesn't usually show up the way religious people expect. Martha's eyes find Catherine's. We build our fancy churches and our fancy hospitals and our fancy rules about who deserves grace. And then he shows up looking like the people we designed the rules to keep out. Catherine feels dizzy. Why would he do that? To see who we really are. When nobody's watching, when there's no reward for being kind. Martha's grip on Catherine's hand is surprisingly strong. Thank you for seeing me, for choosing differently. I know it wasn't easy. I almost didn't, Catherine whispers. I almost let you die on my floor because of paperwork. But you didn't. That's what counts. Catherine isn't sure she agrees, but she nods anyway. She stays with Martha for another hour, listening to stories about a life lived in the margins. 4 children raised on minimum wage, jobs, scrubbing floors and washing dishes. A faith that somehow survived poverty, loss, and systemic abandonment. By the time Catherine leaves, Something fundamental has shifted in her understanding. Martha isn't a policy exception, isn't a charitable case, isn't a problem to be managed. She's a human being with inherent worth, and treating her should never have been a decision requiring courage. It should have been automatic. That night, Catherine goes home to her upscale condo and can't sleep. She keeps seeing the man in white, keeps hearing his questions, keeps feeling the weight of 37 names she doesn't know yet, but carries anyway. At 3 in the morning, she pulls out her laptop and starts writing. Not a report for the board, a resignation letter, because she suddenly understands with painful clarity she can't reform Sacred Heart from within, not against Thornton, not against the board, not against the entire system that values profit over people. She can't fight them, but she can refuse to be them. The letter takes hours. She writes about her loss of direction, her compromise with values she once held sacred, her recognition that the hospital she's building isn't the hospital Jesus would recognize. Dawn breaks over the city. Catherine saves the letter, scheduled to send Monday morning. Then she drives to the hospital, arriving before most of the staff. She goes to her office, pulls the records Emma compiled, and starts. Reading 37 names become 37 stories. Marcus Thompson, 42, heart attack, turned away due to insurance issues, died in ambulance en route to County General. Sophie Chen, 29, pregnancy complications, denied admission due to inability to pay, lost baby at public clinic 3 hours later. David Rodriguez, 67, stroke, redirected to another facility, permanent brain damage due to delayed treatment. On and on, page after page. Each one a preventable tragedy, each one a failure of the system Catherine helped build. By noon, she's crying at her desk. By 2, she's made a decision. If she's going down, she's taking the truth with her. Catherine calls an emergency meeting of the hospital's medical staff. Every doctor, every nurse, every person who actually touches patients. She doesn't invite the board. She doesn't inform Thornton. She just gathers the people who remember why they entered medicine. They meet in the chapel, a small room on the 2nd floor that rarely sees use. 50 people pack into space meant for 30. Catherine stands at the front, the compiled records in her hands. Thank you for coming. Her voice shakes slightly. I'm going to tell you some things that will make you uncomfortable. Some things that might cost me my job, but they're true, and you deserve to know them. She reads the names, all 37, tells their stories, shows the documentation. The room falls silent. Dr. Morrison speaks first. I didn't know. Catherine, I had no idea the numbers were this bad. Because we're good at hiding them, Catherine sets the papers down. We use words like referral and protocol and standards of care. We tell ourselves we're being responsible, sustainable, but we're not. We're letting people die because treating them would hurt our profit margins. A nurse in the back, Maria, who's worked at Sacred Heart for 20 years, raises her hand. What do you want us to do? Catherine takes a deep breath. I want you to choose. Monday, the board is going to review my performance. They're almost certainly going to fire me for treating Martha without authorization. When they do, this place will go back to business as usual, unless enough of you decide that's unacceptable. You're talking about a revolt. Morrison's tone is careful. Against Thornton, against the board, against the entire power structure of this hospital. I'm talking about remembering our oaths. Catherine's voice grows stronger. We swore to heal, to do no harm, to put patients first. Somewhere along the way, this institution forgot that. I forgot that. And I'm done pretending profit and compassion are the same thing. Silence stretches. Then Maria stands. I'm in. Morrison hesitates, then nods. Me too. One by one, others stand. Not everyone. Some leave, shaking their heads. Some stay seated, uncertain. But enough rise to fill Catherine with something she hasn't felt in years. Hope. Sunday passes in a blur of Planning. Catherine and her newly formed coalition work through the night, preparing. Monday morning arrives too quickly and too slowly. The board meeting is scheduled for 9. At 8:30, Catherine walks into the conference room to find Pastor Thornton already seated at the head of the table. 5 other board members occupy the remaining chairs. The mood is arctic. Catherine. Thornton's smile is reptilian. Thank you for joining us. I wouldn't miss it. She sits across from him and waits. Thornton opens a folder. We've reviewed the incident from Friday, the unauthorized treatment, the violation of established protocols, the potential liability you've exposed us to, and we've made a decision. Catherine's heart hammers, but she keeps her face neutral. Effective immediately, you're being placed on administrative leave. Pending a full investigation into your judgment and fitness for leadership, Dr. Carson will assume interim director responsibilities. Dr. Robert Carson, a board member who values profit above all else, nods smugly. Catherine doesn't flinch. I see. And what about Martha, the woman whose life I saved? Will be transferred to a county facility as soon as she's stable, Thornton says. We've absorbed enough cost already. No. The word hangs in the air. Thornton's eyebrows rise. Excuse me? I said, no. Martha stays. She receives full treatment, and you're not firing me because I won't be here to fire. Catherine slides an envelope. Across the table. Her resignation letter, effective immediately. I'm resigning as director of Sacred Heart Memorial, but I'm not leaving quietly. I'm taking this. She produces the compiled records to the local news, to the state medical board, to every regulatory agency that oversees hospitals. I'm going to make sure everyone knows how this Christian hospital has been operating. Thornton's face darkens. That's slander. We'll sue you into oblivion. It's documentation. Public. Record. And you can't sue someone for telling the truth. Catherine stands. You built this place into a business and forgot it was supposed to be a ministry. You prioritized profit over people and called it stewardship. You let people die and called it efficiency. Well, I'm done being part of that, and I'm not the only one. On cue, the conference room doors open. Morrison enters. Maria, Emma, 30 other staff members, still in their scrubs and white coats. We're resigning too, Morrison announces. All of us, effective immediately. Thornton surges to his feet. You can't, we can. Morrison's voice is calm. And we are. You can't run a hospital without doctors and nurses, Richard. You can have your profit margins and your premium pricing and your exclusive clientele, but you'll need to find someone else to do the actual medicine. Catherine watches Thornton's face cycle through shock, rage, and calculation. You'll never work in this city again, he hisses. I have connections, influence. I'll make sure every hospital, every clinic, every medical facility knows you're troublemakers, unreliable, disloyal. Then we'll go somewhere that values loyalty to patients over loyalty to profits, Catherine says quietly. Maybe we'll start our own clinic. Maybe we'll volunteer at County General. Maybe we'll figure it out as we go. But we won't be part of this anymore. She turns toward the door. Catherine. Thornton's voice stops her. You're making a massive mistake. You had a future here, security, prestige, everything you worked for. And you're throwing it away for what? A few vagrants who can't take care of themselves? A misguided sense of martyrdom? Catherine looks back at him. Really looks. At his expensive suit, his Rolex, his carefully maintained image of spiritual authority, and she sees him clearly for the first time. He's afraid, not of losing the hospital, of being exposed, of the world seeing that his version of Christianity is just capitalism in a cross-shaped wrapper. I'm not throwing anything away, Catherine says. I'm finally picking up what I dropped 3 years ago. And if you can't understand the difference between serving God and serving money, then I genuinely pity you. She walks out. Her former colleagues follow. the hospital erupts into chaos within hours. Word spreads that the entire leadership and half the medical staff just resigned. Patients ask questions. Media starts calling. Thornton scrambles to contain the damage, but the truth leaks anyway. It always does. By evening, Catherine sits in a small coffee shop near the hospital, surrounded by her fellow refugees. They're exhausted, uncertain, more than a little terrified. But they're together. What now, Emma asks. Catherine honestly doesn't know. She spent 15 years building a career that just evaporated. She has savings, but not forever savings. She has credentials, but Thornton wasn't bluffing about blacklisting her. She has nothing except the rightness of the choice. Now, she says slowly, we figure out how to actually heal people, not manage them, not profit from them, heal them. Morrison nods. County General is overwhelmed, always is. They'd probably welcome volunteers. There's that abandoned clinic on 5th Street, Maria adds. Been closed for years. Heard the owner might be willing to lease it cheap. Ideas start flowing. Small at first, then building. A free clinic. Mobile medical units, partnerships with homeless shelters, medicine practiced the way they learned it should be, as service, not business. It's terrifying. It's also the first time in years Catherine feels like she's doing what she was actually called to do. As the meeting breaks up and people head home, Catherine lingers. She's not ready to face her empty condo, not ready to sit with the magnitude of what just happened. She walks instead, without planning to. Her feet carry her back to Sacred Heart Memorial. She stands across the street, looking up at the building she gave 3 years to, the crosses on the walls, the scripture etched in bronze, the pristine, expensive, hollow shell. You did the right thing. Catherine spins. The man in white sits on a nearby bench, his robe somehow cleaner than before, or maybe it's just the streetlight. He smiles, and it's sad and proud at the same time. You, Catherine's voice catches. Who are you? Does it matter? Yes. No. I don't know. She moves closer, half afraid he'll vanish. Martha thinks you're an angel. Martha sees clearly. That's not an answer. It's the only answer I'm permitted to give. He pats the bench beside him. Sit. You've had a difficult day. Catherine sits, too exhausted to argue. They watch the hospital in silence for a long moment. Did you know? Catherine finally asks. When you brought Martha, did you know it would lead to this? I knew you would have to choose. Everyone does. Eventually. The comfortable lie or the uncomfortable truth, the easy path or the right one. He turns to her. You chose well. I chose unemployment and professional ruin. You chose integrity. That's rarer than you think. Catherine's laugh is bitter. I destroyed my career. I dragged 30 other people down with me. I probably started a war I can't win. Some choice. You saved Martha, and you remembered who you were. His hand rests on her shoulder again, and the touch carries impossible warmth. Catherine, little Catherine, you're exactly where you're supposed to be. The path ahead is hard, but you're not walking it alone. I feel alone. I know. You won't be for long. He stands, and Catherine realizes with sudden panic that he's leaving. Wait, please, I need to know. Are you... She can't say it, can't ask if she's been talking to an angel, or something more, because if she asks and he answers, it makes it real, makes this whole terrifying leap something she can't take back. He smiles. You already know, you've always known. You just got distracted by safer gods, money, success, reputation, the approval of men like Thornton. But those gods can't save you, Catherine, can't heal you, can't transform you. They can only use you until you're empty. And you? I'm the one who meets people in alleyways and hospital corridors and broken places, the one who shows up looking like exactly the person you'd be tempted to ignore. Because how you treat the least of these, he gestures to his torn robe, his dirty feet. That's how you treat me. Catherine's breath stops. because she knows that phrase, knows it from Sunday school and sermons and scripture memorized as a child. When I was hungry, when I was thirsty, when I was a stranger, you turned me away. His voice holds no accusation, only truth. And then you didn't. That moment, that choice, that's what I came to see. Test, Catherine whispers. You were testing me, inviting you to remember. There's a difference. He starts walking, his form somehow luminous in the streetlight. Go home, Catherine. Rest. Tomorrow starts the real work, building something true, something that bears my name because it bears my heart. You'll need your strength. Will I see you again? He looks back, and his smile could break you or heal you or both at once. Every time you see someone the world considers worthless, every time you choose mercy over efficiency, every time you remember that people are more sacred than policy. He pauses. I'm not hard to find, Catherine. I'm wherever you're brave enough to look. Then he turns a corner and disappears. Catherine sits on the bench for another hour, trembling, not from cold, from the weight of recognition, the terrible, wonderful knowledge that she didn't just meet a man in a white robe. She met the one the robes and crosses and scripture are supposed to point toward, and he showed up exactly the way he promised he would. Hungry, thirsty, sick, a stranger, disguised as the people comfortable religion teaches you to ignore, testing whether your faith is decoration or decision. Catherine failed that test for 3 years, but she passed it Friday, and somehow, impossibly, that matters more. She goes home, sleeps deeply for the first time in months, wakes Monday morning to news that the story broke. Hospital director resigns in protest over profit over patients policy. Media requests pile up. Her phone won't stop ringing, but there are other calls too. Donors who want to fund the free clinic. Medical suppliers willing to provide equipment at cost. Other doctors, fed up with corporate medicine, asking to join the cause. And a text from an unknown number, building on 5th Street. Lease paid for 2 years. Key under the mat. Get to work. A friend. Catherine stands in her kitchen, staring at the message, tears streaming down her face. She gets to work. 6 months later, Grace Street. Medical center opens in the renovated clinic on 5th. It's not fancy. The equipment is second-hand. The waiting room chairs are mismatched donations. The paint is whatever color they got on sale, but it's full. People line up starting at dawn. The uninsured, the underserved, the forgotten. People who've been turned away from places like Sacred Heart. People who've learned not to expect compassion from institutions that claim to represent God. They're skeptical at first, waiting for the catch, the judgment, the fine print that says grace actually costs more than they have. It doesn't come. Catherine treats a diabetic homeless man at cost. Morrison performs a surgery for free. Maria holds the hand of a teenage mother who has no one else. Emma prays with patients who ask and respects those who don't. They practice medicine the way they always should have, as service, not transaction, as ministry, not business, as healing, not profit center. It's exhausting. It's sustainable in ways Sacred Heart never was. Martha visits every week, volunteering despite her age. She brings sandwiches for the staff and sits with patients who are alone. She tells stories about the man in white to anyone who'll listen. Some think she's senile, others hear truth in her words. Catherine always listens because she knows. One evening, as Catherine locks up the clinic, she finds a white rose on the doorstep. No note, no signature, just a single perfect flower that shouldn't survive in this neighborhood. She picks it up, smiling. Thank you, she whispers to the empty street, for not giving up on me, for showing up when I needed to be reminded who I was, for testing me in the way that mattered most. The wind picks up, carrying the scent of olive trees from somewhere impossible, and Catherine knows, with certainty deeper than proof, that she's not alone, that the work matters, that choosing people over profit, mercy over money, compassion over comfort, that these choices echo in places beyond boardrooms and balance sheets, that there's a kingdom where the last are first, and she's finally working for the right king. Sacred Heart. Memorial struggles in her absence. Thornton hires replacements, but they're mercenaries, not missionaries. Patients notice the difference. Donations drop, the shine tarnishes. Meanwhile, Grace Street Medical Center grows, not in profit, but in purpose, not in prestige, but in people served. They treat. And thousands that first year save lives that Sacred Heart would have let slip away. It's not a fairy tale. There are still nights Catherine can't pay all the bills. Still moments she doubts. Still temptations to compromise, to take corporate funding with strings attached, to inch back toward the efficiency that killed her soul before. But then she remembers. A man in a white robe sitting on her floor, cleaning blood with his bare hands. A question asked in a hospital corridor. When did the rules become more sacred than the people they were meant to protect? Martha's voice. God doesn't usually show up the way religious people expect, and she chooses again. Every day, the uncomfortable truth over the comfortable lie, the hard right over the easy wrong, the messy, costly, beautiful work of actually healing instead of just profiting from sickness. She doesn't know if it's enough, but she knows it's real. And somehow, standing in a rundown clinic with mismatched chairs and second-hand equipment, serving people the world calls worthless, Catherine Walsh feels closer to God than she ever did in a hospital with crosses on every wall. Because she finally understands. Faith isn't about the building, the budget, the branding, the reputation. It's about who you see when you look at the stranger in the torn robe and what you choose to do about it. This story, while fictional, reflects a truth we all face: how easily we build systems that exclude the very people we're called to serve. It was created not to deceive, but to make us reflect on the moments when policy became more important than people, when efficiency replaced compassion, when we measured worth by wealth instead of humanity. When was the last time you really saw someone the world overlooks? The person sleeping on the sidewalk you step over, the worker you don't acknowledge, the stranger whose struggle you ignore because helping would be inconvenient. What would change if you looked at them and saw divinity in disguise? Today, choose to see one person everyone else dismisses. Learn their name, hear their story, offer help without expecting return. You might not be entertaining angels, but you'll be practicing the mercy that transforms both them and you. Because grace is always hidden in the people we're tempted to turn away. This is a story from Hidden Grace Stories.